Hey guys, it's great to be back with you all again today. Today we're going to be talking about area, and the specific skill we're going to talk about is 3.6C, and that's determine the area of rectangles with whole number side lengths and problems using multiplication related to the number of rows times the number of units squares in each row. And basically the I can statement is I can use multiplication to calculate area, and that's how we calculate area. Look at some of the vocabulary over here. I can find it there, and it's basically area is equal to the length times the width. So if we multiply the length times the width, that will tell you what the area of a figure is. An area is how much it takes to cover something, versus perimeter, where we're trying to figure the distance around. And typically, that's where third graders get messed up more than anything. They mix up the problems, and they'll calculate the perimeter instead of the area. Perimeter, which is add all sides. But if you do that, that answer choice will probably be there. If you added all the sides together on this rectangle, you probably have that as an answer choice. So just make sure you understand area is how much it takes to cover something, and that's length times width. Got a few videos here. Got one of Aaron's videos, like I always like to watch. It's one of the STAAR test questions that's very specific to what we're talking about. It's the skill that we're talking about. It's from the 2016 STAAR test, and it's question number 39. He's going to kind of talk you through how to solve this area problem in 5 minutes or less, which I like. It's really nice. This is another, I use some blocks to help calculate area, and it's a very concrete way of figuring area, because I took the blocks to cover up figures. And another little trick in there, a little mental math trick that I talk about in there also. So let's get ready and watch these videos.
The area of a rectangle. This is standard 3.6C in the great state of Texas, and we're using item number 39 off the 2016 release STAAR test. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause this video, see if you can work it out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we don't have a picture on this, and typically we'll see pictures when we're looking at the area of a rectangle. What it says, though, is Dante is counting the square tiles on a rectangular floor at a school. So let's just see if we can draw a rectangle here. So let's draw a big rectangular floor. We'll say that's the floor. Each tile had an area of 1 square foot. So that's going to be important, because when we are looking at area, what we're doing is we're looking at little squares. We're going to overlap little squares on the space inside, because remember, area is the inside of a shape. It's the perimeter that's outside. So we're not looking at perimeter, though we could if we wanted to. But that's the outside. So we're looking for the area, which is the inside. We're going to put these little squares here, and it says that each square has an area of 1 square foot. So on the floor, there were 9 rows of tiles and 36 tiles. So here's what we have. We had 9 rows. So if we wanted to we could try to make these rows. And they might not be even, but we can at least use them for counting. So we're going to have 9 rows here once I finish this next. Let's just count to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So good. I've got my 9 rows of tiles, and there are 36 tiles in each row. Well, if I really, really wanted to, I could draw lines to make 36 little columns, but that would be a little bit crazy. So we are going to have to work a little bit smarter, because drawing 9 rows was a bit weird. And you see this row down here at the bottom is not even right here. What if we did this? Rather than simply drawing 36 tiles in each, let's just put the number 36. All I need to know is that there's 36 in each row. If I do that, if I can imagine that I'm laying over 36 tiles, well, what we can do here is we can just say there are 9 sets of 36. So there's 2 different ways we can solve that. One would be just repeated addition, because I basically have set up a really, really long and slanting addition problem, but let's just see if we can do 6, 6, 6, 3, 4. That's 9 sixes, so that's going to be 9 times 6, so we have to know our facts there. That's going to be 54. And then let's see, I need to add 9 threes, that's 27. I'm going to add that 2, that's 324. So it looks like I might have an answer here. Now, that was repeated addition. What was very similar was I can just take my 36 and I can multiply it by the number of 36s I have. Remember, repeated addition is another way to look at multiplication. So I could have just done multiplication. I could have said, well, there's 9 36s. So I just want to multiply them, and you're going to get the same answer. 9 times 6 is 54. And you're going to notice it's basically what I did. I even carried the same number up here. That's going to be 27. That's going to be 32. And it just looks 2 different ways. So it looks like that's going to be my answer. Now, let me show you a trick. The answer is C, 324 square feet. And so it can look like this. Square feet. Sometimes it's feet with that little 2. That also means square feet. Sometimes it's written like this. And then sometimes I've seen square feet written with just an SQ. And then feet is also abbreviated. Either works. Guess what, guys? You could, rather than drawing anything, you can just take your 2 numbers and multiply. Because what we did was 9 times 6. You just take your rows and your columns, your rows and numbers in each row, and multiply.
Okay, we got a problem right here, and I basically I drew out a rectangle here, and the rectangle is 4 inches by 18 inches. And what we're trying to figure out is the area. You see that the video that we looked at, it did a little video about perimeter and area, and typically that's the third graders do pretty good at doing both perimeter and area because they're not too difficult of a concept. But typically what they do is they mix them up. They'll get perimeter and area mixed up, and perimeter is the area around. So if I was trying to do the perimeter of this rectangle, I'd label all the sides and I would add them all up. But with area, we do something a little bit different. We're talking about this space inside here, how much it covers. And when we're doing area, we're talking about square units to measure. So it'll always say square in front of I usually abbreviate square with SQ. And on this case, it's inches. So the answers on this, on area questions, are going to be square units to measure. Sometimes you'll see square units, or it could be square feet, or we'll do one later on about square centimeters, but it's always square units, and it's about what it takes to cover it up. So I'm going ahead, and I've got some tiles right here to cover this with. I'm going to scoot them down here to cover my my area right here. And you can see I'm covering the entire thing. These are square tiles, and they're covering the whole area of that right there. Let's scoot these down. And you can see there, I've covered up that entire rectangle there, and with none of my tiles overlapping. So you can see that I cover that entire area. If I wanted to figure out what the area of this is, I could just go ahead and count all these tiles up. And I'll go ahead and number this real quick. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and by 18. And I won't label 18, but it's 18 all the way across. We'll count them real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So you can see it. The dimensions of my rectangle are 4 inches by 18 inches. And there's a little trick that I used to coach a mental math UIL group back when I was a 4th grade teacher, and it's a little trick to your multiplication facts. Typically, we're not memorizing our 18s, or we're not going to skip count by 4 18 times. And as of right now, we haven't really talked too much about that algorithm to do a 2-digit by 1-digit multiplication problem. But there's a way you can kind of do this in your head. So if I take 18 right there and I cut it in half, that would be 9. And basically, I'm going to change my problem. My problem is going to be, instead of 18, it's going to be 9. And if I take and cut 18 in half, that means I'm going to have to double my 4, so that'd be 8. And I can do the multiplication fact, 8 times 9. That's going to be one of our multiplication facts that we memorized this year. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in my area model, though. So I can do it without messing it all up. I'm going to scoot this down. So I cut it in half, and I basically doubled the amount of rows I had and cut how many are in each row in half to make it a little bit easier problem. So now, instead of having 4 rows of 18, I'm going to have 8 rows. So 5, 6, 7, and 8 with 9 in each row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I can, we memorize our 9 facts, and I showed you a little trick to do your 9 facts too with your fingers. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. So if I tuck in my 8th finger, that means 9 times 8. So I did the community property. So instead of 8 times 9, I did 9 times 8. 9 times 8 is 72. So that means that the area of my my rectangle is 72 square inches. So that's just one little trick for doing multiplication, especially when we're talking about a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. But it also shows you that we're talking about how much surface area it takes to cover something. So that's all we have. We're going to use centimeters as our measure. And I went ahead and drew a rectangle right here, and it is 3 centimeters by 12 centimeters. So we're talking about the area of it. And like I said in the previous video, we're looking at the area, what it takes to cover this rectangle. If it's a perimeter problem, we go ahead and label all 4 sides and add them all together. But we're trying to figure out is how many square units it takes to cover that. And when we do area, okay, it's going to be a square. It's always going to be a square. And on this one, it's going to be square centimeters. Square centimeters. So I got some tiles right here, or some centimeter cubes, actually. And we're going to cover the shape of centimeter cubes. And you can see I have completely covered it there. And none of my cubes overlap. And I have 3 rows. So we have the same rules that we do for our arrays. And there's 12 columns, or 12 in each row. So 3 rows and 12 in each row. And we can use multiplication to solve that. And since we are not really good at our 12s, we can use the same little trick we did with our inches. Is we can go ahead and take to cut 12 in half. So that would be half of 12 is 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I go ahead and take 6 of these down, 6 out of each row. I'm going to end up doubling how many rows I have. So I'm going to double my first factor. Okay, so now instead of having 3 rows, I've got 6 rows. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and there are 6 columns because half of 12 is 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it's 6 by 6, and that makes a square actually. So it makes my rectangle is a special rectangle now. It's a square. All 4 sides are the same length, and 6 times 6 I know is 36. So that means that the area of my 3 centimeter by 12 centimeter shape is 36 square centimeters. Okay, we'll work on some guided practice here. Go follow along as I read. It says, Ethan drew rectangles 1, 2, 3, and 4 on grid below. So here's the rectangles. And what we need to find out is which rectangle has an area of 75 square units. So we'll go through here and basically figure out the area of all 4 rectangles. So first thing, what is the area of rectangle 1? Okay, let's check that and see. I'll go ahead. So the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's got a length of 8. So 1 has a length of 8. And I'm going to multiply that by its width, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know 8 times 5 equals 40. So we'll write that down, 40. And that's square units. The ugly 40. 40 square units. Abbreviate there. What is the area of rectangle 2? Okay, well, let's check that and see. It's got the same, it looks like it's got the same length as rectangle 1. So we'll kind of skip that process there. Has a length of 8. But it looks like the width is more. So we'll go count it out here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is 8 times 9? 8 times 9 is 72. So we'll write that in there. That's 72 square units. Okay, what is the area of rectangle 3? Okay, let's check and see. The length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So length of 5. And it has a width of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So the area of that would be calculated by 15 times 5. What is 15 times 5? Okay, let's check and see. We'll do our standard algorithm. That's 15 times 5. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25. I'll regroup my 2 over here in the tens place. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more would be 7. So it looks like that is 75. So rectangle 3 is 75 square units. Okay, but I'm still going to check 4 just to make sure I don't end up with a 75 on that one too. Because maybe I made a mistake. Always check your work. It's a good way to check your work. So what is the area of rectangle 4? Okay, let's check that and see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's 14, there's a length of 14, by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 14 by 6. What is 14 times 6? Okay, we'll do our standard algorithm again. That is 14 times 6. 6 times 4 is 24. And 6 times 1 is 6 plus 2 more, 7, 8. So the area of that one is 84. That's 84 square units. So it looks like our correct, the one is 75 square units, is rectangle 3, which is H, answer choice H. Okay, it's now time to complete your independent practice. I'll put a PDF in there that you can print off and work out the problems. But just take your time, do your very best. There will be a blue puzzle piece after that, and that's where you'll input your answers. That's how we check to make sure you've done it correctly. And so like I said, take your time, do your very best. If you have any problems, send your test teacher a message, either as an email or a message in Schoology, which seems to be the most popular way to contact teacher. And like I said, take your time, do your very best, and best of luck to you.